I love the headlines.
It's time for the party to put the matter to rest once and for all.
I think the Australian public have had a gutful of it. They just want it to move on.
This conversation always had to be had, and I'm looking forward to a sensible and robust conversation.
Mother Nature has a wicked sense of humour. She sprung the symbol of promise and enlightenment above the people's house as MPs arrived to discuss the virtues of a people's vote. Liberal Rainbow rebels say the time for a plebiscite on same-sex marriage has passed.
The party room has a choice whether it allows this issue to continue to distract the government or whether it tries to get a resolution that is final and is fair.
Now is the time to deliver same-sex marriage in Australia. I think I've made the point.
Dean Smith, a Conservative WA Liberal senator who's drafted a bill to legalise gay marriage, says a non-binding, non-compulsory plebiscite has already failed to get Senate support.
People might desire a postal plebiscite, but at the moment it is conceptual, its details are unknown, and again I would argue that it's a D-grade response to what is a defining A-grade social issue. Thank you. Thank you.
While Senator Smith says a plebiscite by post would be as poor as a plebiscite by ballot box, fellow agitator Tim Wilson sees some merit if it ends up with MPs getting a free vote.
How damaging will it be for the government if this issue isn't resolved sooner rather than later?
Oh dear. I'm looking for a pathway that honours our full election commitment, that ends up, as it always will, even with the compulsory plebiscite, had it passed through the Senate, with a free vote in the Parliament.
But even a postal plebiscite, seen by the Prime Minister's Conservative protectors as a neat way out of this predicament, isn't enough for some.
Politicians have got to say what they mean and do what they say. Keeping commitments is the first law of politics these days, and that commitment just has to be kept.
Marriage is between...
Tony Abbott, who devised the plebiscite when gay marriage last came up in the Coalition party room, says the policy remains viable.
The Howard government tried 40 times to change unfair dismissal laws in the Senate. We've put the plebiscite up once, that's all. We should have another go. And if that fails, let's have another go.
Getting lectured by Tony Abbott about keeping promises is like being offered elocution lessons by Barnaby Joyce. But simply putting up a plebiscite time and time again is no solution. When you strip it back, today's meeting of Liberals is about finding a face-saving way of catching up with the community. The public has already factored in the legalisation of same-sex marriage. However you cut it, this issue will be ultimately decided by Parliament.
Our preference is to give the Australian people a say through a compulsory attendance plebiscite. Should that not succeed through the Senate, the government believes that there is a legal and constitutional way forward to give the Australian people a say through a non-legislated, voluntary, postal plebiscite.
The government's approach to marriage equality has now gone well beyond a joke. Essentially, the announcement today seeks to weaken the role of Parliament.
Do we vote in Parliament, or do we send a letter to 16 million Australians just checking to see what they think about whether or not other people should get married? I think the answer's pretty straightforward. It's all pretty simple, isn't it? Thanks.
Straightforward or not, Malcolm Turnbull walks a fine line between satisfying fellow moderates and avoiding anything that's incendiary to the Conservatives. The PM needs the same-sex marriage debate resolved by year's end at the latest, so he can concentrate on rebuilding faith with voters before the next election. A 17th consecutive negative news poll takes him ever closer to matching the 30 bad polls he cited when he toppled Tony Abbott. And some of Malcolm Turnbull's enemies are relishing the countdown.
17, eh? 17. Yep. 13 to go, old mate.